What's going on, guys? Joe Morgan here of Sporting News with Sabrina Merchant of Sports Illustrated. We're sitting here courtside after the Clippers' 98-88 victory over the defending champion Toronto Raptors. They find the way to get to 7-3. Big win for the Clips.
Big win for the Clips. That is not an easy Toronto team to face.
Long.
Really,
That's one of the
really
lengthier
long.
teams I've seen in a long time. I think you and I actually had a couple of comments mid-game about how fun this Toronto team was to watch.
And they run.
They run a lot.
They run a lot.
I was really impressed. The Clippers find a way to come out here, though, and get a victory. I think it was really important for them to win ball games like this when Kawhi is not necessarily at his best. I think we've come to expect quite a bit of Kawhi, obviously. But even tonight, he gets close to a triple-double, but he doesn't have the points that he normally does. I'm just curious from your perspective, Sabrina, what did you see from Kawhi that you liked, especially on an off night?
I thought Kawhi was pretty good as a playmaker down the stretch. So the Raptors did something a little different that most teams haven't been doing to the Clippers. They doubled out of the pick and roll, trapped incredibly hard. And like you said earlier, with that length, it's an impressive trap to try to work your way through. And I didn't think he did very well in the first half dealing with that. Wasn't great at finding the open players, but as the game wore on, he got much better at reading the defense.
Yeah.
And his ability to play make for his teammates was really what enabled the Clippers to succeed on offense in that fourth quarter.
Nobody really asked Doc about this specifically in the postgame. Well, it might have come up a little bit, but I'm actually kind of curious if there was a little bit of hesitation from Kawhi as he was playing against his former teammates. He didn't look as aggressive early on. Do I think that the Kawhi is the kind of player that's going to get emotional when he's playing ex-teammates? No, I don't, because we've been told a million times this guy basically has no feelings. We love him. But it looked like he came out a little slow. But do you think that it was probably more what Toronto did to him defensively and specifically what Nick Nurse knows about him offensively that slowed him down?
Absolutely. I don't think the emotions had anything to do with
agree.
it. I mean, when he played San Antonio, like Lou Williams said that he thought that Kawhi had a little extra incentive to beat them. But that relationship ended a little less amicably than the one with Toronto did. Today it just looked like Toronto was really long and really fast and really strong, and they did something different that the Clippers have not dealt with most of the season. And it just frustrated Kawhi. I mean, you could tell he was looking at the refs every time he didn't get a call. He got called for a few travels among those 9 turnovers. Almost that quadruple-double for Kawhi.
Almost. I thought something interesting out of this game was the Clippers didn't shoot well. 8 of 36 from 3 and still found a way to get it done with really, obviously, the defense being the focal point of this game. We spoke about it a little bit earlier, you and I, about what we think about this Clippers team moving forward. And Doc specifically said in the postgame that he was kind of frustrated that his team didn't continue to keep shooting those threes. I think he said he passed up about 5 or 6 threes as a team. I personally think that there's a lot of playmakers on this team. It doesn't necessarily have to be that team that's going to be jacking up a lot of threes. But I think you feel a little bit differently. Am I wrong with that?
Yeah, I think especially against this particular Toronto team that is so long and so good at protecting the rim. I mean, that Chris Boucher block on, was it Montrezl Harrell?
I was on Trez.
Was the best block I've ever seen live. That was two-hand volleyball spike.
I jumped out of my seat, which was unprofessional.
So when you have a team like that that protects the rim, I think this is the game where you have to take those open shots.
Yeah.
You know, the Clippers have not shot well to start the season at all. Landry Shamet has not been what we expected him to be coming off of that excellent stretch to close the season with the Clippers. I mean, Patrick Beverley, I think, is shooting about as
what he's going to shoot.
What he's going to shoot, right? Jermichael Green has gone through some very cold stretches.
Airball today.
But if it's a choice between taking those open threes versus driving just all the way to the rim and meeting, Pascal Siakam and Chris Boucher, I don't think that's a choice you want to take.
No, you're probably correct. I think that was the whole point of Doc. Just a quick jump in with Landry. I know Doc said he didn't know the severity of the injury, but it looks like a sprained ankle. Is what he was telling us. Am I wrong with this?
I mean, to me, I couldn't tell where the contact occurred, which for me, non-contact injuries always kind of worry me. And he could not walk on the way to the locker room, so
no wait.
No wait,
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens with Landry. Obviously, a pretty key cog, even though he has started a little bit slow to start this year. Anybody else in particular? I know. Look, you're a Mo Harkless guy, so you love the way he played tonight. You're definitely more of a Mo guy than I am, though. I think he's a phenomenal player, and Doc consistently talks about him in every post-game conference where he's just like, this guy can do everything. He can guard every position. But you thought he was awesome tonight.
It's funny, like last season, Doc would bring up Zubac in every post-game after the trade deadline because, it was such a fun story how they like fleeced him, from the Lakers. And I think that was kind of part of why the media started talking about Mo Harkless so much when the Clippers got him, was because they got him and a first-round pick just for like
Crazy.
helping the Heat in Portland consummate this trade, right? So Mo Harkless, Doc Rivers likes to call him a Swiss Army knife just because he does everything, like other than shoot, which I don't think he's the one that passed up on those open three-pointers, but he's so good at finding himself in the right place on offense.
Yep.
Like when there's a double team, he manages to flash his way into the paint, make those timely cuts, really good finisher around the rim. And then on defense, he can guard essentially 1 through 4
Yes.
every position, right? So the Clippers deployed him on Fred VanVleet a little bit more today. They haven't really used him on point guards before. Like Doc said, that he didn't really know that he could guard smaller players, but apparently Mo likes guarding the
That's what he
ones
said.
and twos because he gets to use his length on them, right? It's
Yeah.
similar to how actually Brandon Ingram used to guard Dame and CJ last year when they played Portland.
Yep.
But he's so versatile on defense. He can be used on the opposing team's best player, which allows Kawhi to play more as a help defender, which I think plays to his strengths as well. And it enables him to work more on offense, right? Which is not a burden that Mo has to bear. So, I mean, he plays, 32 minutes today, team high plus 14.
Yep.
The Clippers needed every Mo Harkless minute today.
Every second of it. Every second. Not a pretty game to watch. Until I enjoyed the living heck out of that second half, I will say that. But it definitely was a little sloppy at times. Not great shooting, but at the end of the day, the Clippers find a way to get to 7-3. They win 98-88 against Toronto at home at Staples. They'll be on the road at Houston on Wednesday, New Orleans on Thursday, and then back home against Atlanta here on Saturday. We're going to be with you guys all year long after every Clippers home game, coming right from the court side. Once again, Joe Morgan, Sporting News.
Sabrina Merchant, Sports Illustrated.
We'll see you guys soon.